Welcome to the Let Me Save You 25 Years podcast, not just another interview podcast. Instead, we jump right into a new Seanism each week. Each one of these is a lesson I've learned, usually the really hard way, along the way, in hopes that you can maybe learn from my mistakes and build great things, even bigger, better, faster than I ever did. These are simply true principles and useful tactics for success in life, not just business, unpacked in great depth by extremely successful people each week. My book, also called Let Me Save You 25 Years, where today's topic comes from, is intentionally really short. So think of this as the long version where I can go even deeper into topics like today's, where we have the ultimate guest coming on this pod, who is himself an international phenom in this exact realm. He will definitely push us to the limits on this topic. Seanism number 16, quit or keep going. Okay, the quintessential story in the book that tees up this topic is that of our bankruptcy. Lovesac was kind of, finagled into a Chapter 11 reorganization back in 2006 when my lead investor calls me. I just brought on venture capital, and their first big idea was to bankrupt the company, take us through a Chapter 11, get out of franchising, get out of bad locations, and start over again with just 12 little locations. Had to lay off dozens of people, many of them my friends and family who had helped me start the company. Had to go out and close down stores in the middle of the night that I just opened. Ribbon cutting, grand opening. We had dozens. We had like 40 or 50 locations. Had to close many of them down, cut their cash wrap in half with a skill saw, throw it in the dumpster, get back to work, keep the business running through a Chapter 11 reorg. Because if the business fails, then you're Chapter 7, then you're done. So keep it going, keep everyone motivated. Those who stayed on, rah, CEO. Meanwhile, customers are like, aren't you guys in bankruptcy? And like, didn't I just see you on TV? I just won $1 million on TV with Richard Branson. How humiliating is that? And now I'm in Chapter 11 reorg. I've lost my ownership in the company. I've lost my money that was invested. I lost $1 million from Brent, and I have to start over from zero and earn it all back. And I am physically, mentally, emotionally, and financially destroyed. 6 months, 7 months, 8 months trying to get through this reorganization. And I go to my parents, and they're not business people really. I mean, they're self-employed, but they're not, entrepreneurs at this level in any respect. And I, but they're my parents. And I said to them, look, I'm just embarrassed. I am hated. I am distraught. I've lost so much. I really should go get a job. I should start out. I should just get out. What do you think I should do? And my mom, who's just, so sturdy and practical and down to earth, she looks at me and after quite a bit of thought says, well, you can quit or keep going. She gets up from the table and leaves. Maybe she was getting emotional. I'm not sure. But since that moment, I've realized, the hardest, toughest, nastiest things we face really are quite simple. You can quit or keep going. And both are an option. I chose to keep going. And somehow, 18 years since that moment, Lovesac is now over, the analysts show us this year, 700 million in sales, fastest growing furniture brand in the United States, employs 1,500 people, 270 locations. So grateful. And grateful, frankly, for these opportunities, multiple, endless, frankly, opportunities in my life that have forced me to that breaking point where I had to make the stark decision to quit or keep going. And on today's podcast, we will unpack how that's done, how to get there, how to think about it, and how to gain the power and fortitude it takes to make those decisions to the positive as often as possible with our guest, founder and CEO of the Spartan race, the death race, and now the Tough Mudder, Joe De Sena. What is the hardest thing you've ever done? This guy's done harder. What is the furthest you've ever gone? This guy has gone further. What is the nastiest, gnarliest physical, mental, emotional thing you've ever faced? This guy not only once did 50 ultra races and 14 Ironmans in 1 year, but now he builds situations to throw you into, to push you even further. We are talking today to a New York Times best-selling author, the founder of the infamous Death Race, then Spartan Race, and now owner of the Tough Mudder as well. He has almost single-handedly created an international phenomenon of movement built around challenging one's physical, mental, and emotional durability through adventure racing. There are races every week of the year all over the world. He has turned this into a 9-figure business. If you're not familiar with it, not only can these races be longer than marathons, but they include things like carrying boulders, weighted chains, crawling through mud under barbed wire, electrical shock, leaping through fire, wading up to your eyeballs in a frozen lake under 8 inches of ice. It's endless. This is not just a wild man who lives and practices what he preaches. I know from personal observation, he wakes up early to bang out 300 burpees before making you do a meager 50 if you miss an obstacle in one of his races. But that's just the physical stuff. There's also funding and building the company around all of that, which you know is a blood sport of its own. I am so excited about this particular episode for 100 reasons. We welcome to the pod, Mr. Joe De Sena.
That was awesome, by the way. That was literally right from your hip. Unbelievable. and I loved physical and mental durability. I've never used those words together. I like that. I'm going to take that.
Take it.
Resilience, we talk about grit, but I like durability.
Yeah. Well, you know, you're building durable people. I'm building durable couches. So whatever.
There you go.
We got our place in the universe.
They're kind of at odds. I mean,
so where are you? How are you? Your headquarters? Where are you at?
I'm in Florida right now. I was on the farm this past weekend. Flew down. I leave for Croatia tomorrow. And then I got to stop in Oslo, Norway. And then I'm back here in Florida. And, you know, somebody asked me yesterday, they said, do you ever take vacations? Do you ever take a break? I said, you know, never really thought about that because I don't like vacations. I don't like sitting around. I do enjoy getting on a plane because when I'm sitting there, that's my vacation on the flight. I just shut everything off. Can't get me on a phone. I watch a movie. Like, that is my break. I don't know how you feel about flights, but that's my break.
That's what it's funny. My wife, one time we were flying, I don't know, we were going to like LA or something, who knows, from Utah, right? Like nothing. And she's got her feet up. She's got the movie on, you know, the seat in front of her. And she's like, she looks at me, she pulls her headphones out. She's like, is this what you do like every time you travel? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, what do you mean? She's like, this is like the best hour of my life. No kids climbing on me, no grimy hands, no one to feed. And I just like, it struck me like what I view as the chore, you know, all this flying. Like I'm done flying, by the way. I'd rather drive. Sadly, you can't drive to Oslo. Like my view on life is you can't get through unscathed. You know, like just when raising kids is crazy and you're up late and your wife's up and you're, you know, you're muddling through it, whatever. You get through that somehow. In my case, I was doing a master's degree at that time. It's all these stories in the book. And then on the other end, I observe, you know, people, now you're taking care of your parents and they're aging out, and that's stressful and sad and difficult. It's like life, no matter what your job is, like you've got this glamorous job as people perceive. You get to fly all over the world. You get to do these, you meet the king of Dubai. I don't know, whatever you do, you know?
Yeah.
But in reality, man, we're all just
grinding. We are grinding towards mental and physical durability.
Okay. So let's get into this topic.
Yeah.
Quit or keep going. You know the story from the book. My amazing and durable mom one day just says to me, look, well, you can quit or keep going. And she's not being an entrepreneur, so to speak. Best advice I ever got, because now to this day, the minute I start feeling sorry or sad or difficult or, you know, overwhelmed, it's like really every decision I think almost comes down to that. And of course, in your world, you've built a whole you've built a living and a whole ecosystem off of putting people in positions where they're faced with that exact decision like every 30 seconds or something. So when you first heard this topic, Joe, what's the first thing that came to mind for you?
A couple of things. One is your mom is a lot smarter than you think she is. I mean, that's an amazing way to respond to a son who's going through what you were going through.
Yeah.
And it really is that simple life. And it's something I've thought about. I'm 55. I've been thinking about it for 45 years, literally 45 years. Don't want to quit. I grew up around a bunch of people that, went to jail or killed people for a living. And so the topic top of mind was, are you tough enough? Could you hang with these guys? What if somebody went to jail? Could they do 25 years? Would they tap out? Right. And then I got into business, and every day was the grind. The customers don't pay when they're supposed to, and your best employee leaves when they're not supposed to, and your truck breaks down when it's not supposed to. Everything that can go wrong does go wrong. And then at the end of it all, you didn't make a profit. Do you quit or do you keep going? And so I've been wrestling with that exact idea. You and I did not set this up. I didn't know this was coming. And I finally came to a conclusion last few years that there are times when it's okay to quit. And I think Mom would agree.
Yeah.
So here's what I've come to the conclusion on. You have to have a strong why when you start this thing, whether it's a marriage, having kids, building a business, a career. You have to have a strong why. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Right. For me, you know why? I want to change lives. I'm fortunate enough. I get these amazing stories from people that say, you changed my life. I'm back with my husband. I'm back with my wife. I lost 300 pounds. I gave up drugs. I gave up alcohol. So that became my purpose. I want to change lives.
Yeah.
And I went big and bold, and I went out into the news and I said, I want to change 100 million lives. I picked a ridiculous number. I don't even know if it's possible, right? 100 million lives. You say it enough times and you get enough press and you live your own little bubble, you start to believe it. So that's my purpose. It's set, it's etched in stone. And now you're in the middle of the battle, and all of a sudden, you're out of business because of COVID, and you've got no money, and you can barely make payroll, all the stuff you went through. And it'd be really easy to quit. It would be really easy to tap out. Everybody would understand that, by the way. I'm an event business.
Yeah.
It's the pandemic. Cirque du Soleil didn't make it. They went bankrupt. I mean, if Cirque du Soleil, they're a lot tougher than the Spartans. They climb ropes with their teeth. They're animals, right? They didn't make it. Fully funded, backed by PE.
Yeah.
And so do I quit or do I stick with it? And I'm thinking, and I thought, okay, Sean and I are climbing a mountain. We're climbing Mount Everest, and we're 100 meters from the summit. And my why is I want to be the greatest climber that ever lived. I'm single. I've bagged a bunch of other mountains. If I get this done in this window, I am going to be the greatest mountain climber that ever lived. This is the thing I want to be. I've been telling everybody. I already started writing my book. Sean, on the other hand, he has a family. He's got a beautiful wife. He wants to be the greatest family man ever. He's just supporting me on this climb. Bad weather rolls in. We're 100 meters from the summit. Sean probably turns around. Sean probably quits. Getting down is mandatory. Getting to the top for him is optional. For me, my purpose drives that decision. I go for it. Dangerous, but I go for it. So I think it really depends on what your why is, because Sean, I don't think you want to be stuck in a thing. I don't think you want to be stuck in a relationship, let's say, that's toxic or whatever, and you're grinding through just because you're not a quitter.
Yeah.
Now the magic is really important for everybody to listen to. Our brains, even Sean and Joe's, our brains are going to be telling us to quit 24/7. Our brains are actually designed to shut down, not expend energy, to protect us. And so our brains subconsciously and consciously are telling us to pack it in.
Hmm.
And so when those moments come up where we have to make that decision, where Sean goes and sits with his mom, when those moments come up where I'm up against, my brain is saying, tap out.
Yeah.
And if you make the decision just based on the feeling of pain, and you're going to make the wrong decision. And most people, I see it in races. I've put 10 million people through a race. Most people tap out just because they don't want to feel any more pain, not because like one of my standard sayings to when they're in the race and they want to quit and a girlfriend comes over and says he can't go anymore. I say, well, is he pissing blood? Because if he's not pissing blood, he's okay.
Wow.
We'll get through it. So it's a good litmus test for me. Joe, you're pissing blood. I told you, I like when I was telling you my story when we first met, you know, when the Wall Street Journal called and they're putting me on the cover of the bankruptcy section on Joe not being able to pay his bills,
Wow.
felt like I was pissing blood. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a tough moment. I'm embarrassed. It's going to hurt my business. This is ridiculous. What the hell am I doing? So, yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful. This is coming from a guy who I'm guessing has pissed blood. If you've done that many ultra races, Joe, without even knowing the details of your bowel movements, I'm guessing that's true. So you know what it's like to be at the end of your
Ye-
rope, truly
ye-
metaphorically and literally, and by the way, probably still make the dicey decision to keep going anyway, even when pissing blood in business or in life. And so, but the smarter maybe decision in those moments might be quit. And that's why I love this Seanism, right? It's quit or keep going. By the way, both are viable options, both are reasonable options, and both should be utilized at certain times in our life. But my belief is, you can tell me if you would support this, most of the time, the lion's share of the time, it is the latter, not the former. It is keep going.
It's the weak brain. It's the weak brain just saying you don't want to feel any more pain. You don't want to feel any more pain, and it's not that big a deal, and quit. Now, I didn't know this, but I'm good friends with a neurosurgeon,
Hmm.
and him and I are having discussions, and I've got him on the podcast, and he said, you know, Joe, when we cut somebody's head open and we look at their brain,
Yeah.
we can actually see tracks that are laid when somebody takes on something really hard. They're building Lovesac. It's a tough business. They're going into bankruptcy. When Sean doesn't quit, his brain leaves a physical mark, a track that we can see. He started something hard and he finished something hard.
Wow.
Those tracks get used for future hard things. Had Sean quit, we see a gap. So a biological change, and that gap allows for other gaps. When you quit something, you're more likely to quit something else in the future. And this is more prevalent. This happens with younger people more easily than older people. So there's a biological reason you have to remember when the shit's hitting the fan and you're talking to your mom and you're thinking about quitting, you got to remember you're going to have it's going to be like a tattoo on your brain.
Ooh.
That makes it more easy to quit future things.
I love that. This is one of the reasons why. So, people sometimes are like, if you follow me on Instagram, besides the business and, whatever, Lovesac this, Lovesac that, I'm into a lot of different things for fun, like dirt biking. And I've fallen in love with dirt biking in my 40s, even though it's way too late to start something like that, because it's so effing hard. And it was so hard to start in my 40s, especially because most of the kids who are good at that grow up doing it from the time they're 4, which is why I'm trying to teach my kids. But in my case, I picked it up late, got into it, and people are like, dirt bike, come on, riding a motorcycle. If you understand, you understand. Like, it is one of the most physically demanding things on the planet. Uses every muscles from my fingers to my toes. Literally. And some of the stuff you can do when you get good enough to go up, the toughest stuff is really not just physically hard, but I mean, you're moving really fast. The consequences are high. You could really damage yourself. So you have to make the fastest decisions, moving 50 miles an hour over loose terrain. And, second by second, there's all these levels, it's working me. And then, you come up to obstacles that look impossible. They can be done because they have been done. You can see a track. And that's always my attitude. If it has been done, it can be done. And then if I push myself and even fail a few times and maybe make it, maybe don't, but at least don't give up. My point is, there are lots of ways that we can find ways to practice doing hard things, impossible things even. And I believe in that very much. And that's why I love, of course, what you do, Joe. I mean, you've built a living on that, helping other people find those opportunities. And I don't think enough people find opportunities in their life to do really flipping hard things.
On that note, anybody out there, listen, I just realized you're in Utah.
Yeah.
I'm probably not saying it correctly. Our races, our events out there, you now own.
Oh,
in other words,
you're putting that on me?
Yeah. All your friends, all your family, anybody listening, join Sean. It's on me, no charge.
What?
Yeah, no charge. You're going to get folks to come join you. We're going to put a big sign up, Love Sack. We'll put a couple of couches, no charge. It's all on me. But since you're geographically located to an event, at least one event out there, you're doing it.
All right. St. George Spartan. When is it? I don't even know. We'll look it up. You're all coming if you want.
Let Sean, no charge. Get a bunch of names, whatever. We'll give everybody free entries, and we will figure out a way to have a couch.
I've got it. I've got it. If you can carry a super sack through that race in its duffel and finish, you can have it.
I like it. How much does a super sack cost?
Like $1,000, and
right.
It weighs 75 pounds, and it's large.
Oh, they could do it. We're going to get some people out there to do it.
That'll be nuts.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
All right. Well, let's do it. St. George, that's where it is?
St. George, Utah, wherever, or the nearest one. I know there's one down here.
All right. We're making it happen.
Wow. All right. Joe De Sena, I love you, brother.
Well, listen, I have a lot of successful friends, as do you. And they'll say to me, many of them will say to me, Joe, no pain, no pain. They don't understand why you would do these hard things. And my response is, you need to practice hard, the same way we practice piano and we practice math and we practice cooking. You've got to practice hard, because Sean didn't know, Joe didn't know they were going to face those really difficult moments in life with their businesses. And had they not practiced hard, like in your dirt bike analogy, and done something that was very hard to do and you had to do it 5 times and you were scared out of your mind, but you did it and you finally you're like, oh, I got this.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and the other thing that obviously your races do that business will do for you also. No, I don't care what your business is. That's why I love this podcast, is because I can invite you on. You don't even need prep. There is nothing I talk about on this podcast in these 25 Seanisms that any other entrepreneur doesn't know. These lessons are not, I call them Seanisms, quit or keep going. But the truth is, man, all 25 of them, you've learned the exact same lessons. And by the way, 25 more and 25 more. Like, business truly is a blood sport, whether anyone talks about it or not. And we do it in white collar shirts and it looks buttoned up, and even the world of finance, or lawyering, for all of its, like, I don't know, sophisticatedness. It's brutal, man. Any business is brutal. And if it's kind of like life, the metaphor of life I shared earlier, on the front end, on the back end, it'll get you, it'll find you, it'll grind you into the ground. And so I think it as a sport, but if you want to cross train, you practice hard things, and you can get them lots of ways. Go do Joe's races, go pick up a hobby like dirt biking, but don't just go to Disney. By the way, going to Disneyland, actually, with a few kids under 10, it's pretty hard, but don't just do that. Right.
Yeah. Maybe we should have a timer each day where we're allowed to be comfortable for X amount of minutes. But the rest of the time, we've got to make sure we're uncomfortable. Right. I've been allergic to gluten my whole life. And as a kid, I didn't know it. I found out, probably when I was 15 years ago. And that discomfort that I was always in my stomach, growing up in an Italian neighborhood where all we ate was gluten, that discomfort probably made me more resilient. It probably made me more rugged, just dealing with my stomach, always bothering me. So I'm certainly not suggesting everybody get a gluten allergy, but I'm saying when you're uncomfortable, there's a great story. There's a story. My boys wrestle. I told you that. There's a story of a great wrestler. I think it's Kerry Colat. He's now the coach at Navy, and he has to go wrestle over in, I don't know where he is, Mongolia or somewhere, and it's really cold. And he lands and he gets to the wrestling room and he goes into the sauna and he sees his opponent in the sauna. And they're staring each other down, and who could last longer in the sauna. And outside the window of the sauna is a pipe coming through the wall. That's the shower, and it's got like a block of ice around it, just ice cold water. And he said his opponent got out of the sauna, turned on that ice cold water, and just stood there and lathered up and didn't even flinch. Nice. And he goes, I lost the wrestling match right there. He goes, so, you do hard things, and they not only help you get through your stuff, but you might even break opponents along the way. Who knows?
That's so cool. And look, I don't look, you're literally speaking to a guy who's sitting in a 1-seat couch. I got, if you're not on the video pod, I live and work on Sactionals all day. I have to. I'm the Love Sack guy. So I've got a single Sactional seat, 3 arms. And I end up sitting here sometimes for, who knows, man, 8 hours straight. I'll get up and do some burpees, Joe. Actually, since I met you, I'm a burpee guy. It's like I realize now why burpees are a part, right, of it's the most efficient exercise probably, right?
It is.
So
yeah.
Figured that out. But I could spend a whole day here doing videos, doing work, emails, whatever. And I don't think personally, and you may argue with me, let's see. I don't know that you need, look, Joe is on the extreme end. He runs the death race, and he's the guy who ran 50 ultra marathons. Okay, that's pretty on the extreme side. On the other hand, I will try very hard to push myself to if there's a gap this afternoon, late, after work, there's lots of ways I could get busy, but I'll, text my friends and try and get out on that dirt bike or try and go do something really, really physically demanding. And you have to try. But beyond that, I don't think you have to be as fanatical as some of these people that do the death race. But I don't think enough people really push themselves. And it's not just about going to the gym or doing some reps on the, I don't know, the equipment.
Stairmaster, whatever.
Are you really doing something hard? And that's why I've fallen in love with things like dirt biking, not just dirt biking, but other things that I do like that really force me far out of my comfort zone often. But,
I agree. My nudge, the thing I get pushed by is when I don't want to do it, I have to do it. I really don't want to get in that, right? I don't want to get in that cold river. I don't want to take that cold I don't want to do those burpees. I got a great one for you.
Okay.
I'm in Scotland. We're putting on a race in Scotland. And I've been flying. I haven't had a workout in 24 hours. I'm not feeling great. It's Scotland weather. They're setting up the course. We pull up in our vehicle, and I see these tent weights that are securing the tents that we have. And I noticed that the tent weights look like dumbbells. And my mind immediately goes towards, I should probably carry those. I should probably go walk that mountain, do the course with those dumbbells. No, I'm not doing that. That's stupid. Now I have to do it.
Oh, no.
So I'm thinking about it because the race is in the morning. Thinking about it, but I'm not bringing it up with anybody because I know if I say it, I'd be a fraud if I didn't do it. I have to do it. And I see this bagpiper near the hotel. He's got a pot where people are throwing coins in, donating. He's a great bagpiper. So I go over to him and I convince him to come out to the race. would he follow me? If I was to carry these dumbbells the whole race, could I get the bagpiper to follow me the entire way,
No
blowing
way.
the pipe? Like it would be like Braveheart. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. That's
So,
epic.
so I did it, and it was
Wow.
miserable, and it was awful, and the
You
bagpiper
did
was
the
driving me
whole race?
the whole race, carrying these 50-pound dumbbells. I had to drop them a lot. I was beside myself
That is
often.
nuts.
I couldn't take the bagpiper anymore. The noise was driving me crazy. But, but we got into an argument. Like it was just like this whole thing. But we got it done. We got it done. And I'm
No
telling
way.
you, you and I are smiling, and I got a story out of it. And so that's my system is I don't want to
Yeah.
do it. So now I have to do it. I met my wife that way, by the way. You met my wife.
Yeah.
I met my wife. I was in a race. I was done with my section of a relay race. Done. I didn't have to do anymore. And I was looking at the bay in Nantucket. And I thought, I'm afraid of sharks. I really don't want to swim. I don't have to swim. I already
Oh,
tagged
no.
my teammate. Now I have to swim.
Now you have to.
So I swam across the bay and I got to the other side and there was this beautiful girl. Became my wife.
Wow.
That crazy, right?
That is crazy. How many of your races do you do? Do you actually do?
I'm at about a dozen of them, but no one would say I actually did that race because I was with a bagpiper and carrying dumbbell, right? I'm not out there competing, but sometimes Utah, your home state, I carried 100-pound sandbag through that event. That was miserable. And so I'll go out. Sometimes I'll carry 2 sticks and I'll just chase people. It just depends how I feel.
That's amazing. And it's so cool the culture you've built. I mean, you're like, I don't know what the right metaphor is. You're like the Pied Piper. Your following is huge. Like you said, there's thousands of Spartan tattoos out there. I only know of a couple of Lovesack tattoos. As I don't know, crazy as our following is, the Spartan race, because it's an emotional level that probably transcends furniture. People are tattooing themselves. People are passionate about this. And I think you have helped so many thousands and millions now of people do hard things, face those quit or keep going moments. What have you observed that these people have in common? I mean, so many now. You have the law of large numbers now on your side, Joe. Is there any commonality? Is there anything that you can observe, having seen so many people overcome under your banner?
I had a new friend come out to Fenway. We had 17,000 people there in November, and he had never been to a race before. And he just started talking to people. And it was so unbelievable that every single person we spoke to was describing a problem they were working through by doing this race. So it could be a problem this woman had at her job. It could be somebody who was going to kill themselves. I mean, extreme, not extreme, but everybody had some issue. And then I thought, could it be that we only attract people with problems? Then I thought, no, everybody's got issues. Everybody's got issues.
Mm-hmm.
Some work through them this way, some work through them other ways. But, I had some family members that went through a really, really horrific situation in their personal life. And I thought to myself, look, everybody knows what Joe's going to say. He's going to say, do burpees or go run or do this, right? And it's not going to resonate well with the family because Crazy Joe is just telling us, he's not hugging us. And I thought, well, what are your choices in those situations? You could take some sort of prescribed drugs. You could drink. You could not sleep. You could overeat, or you can go exercise. Like, you don't really have many choices that are good. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I think that I love that quote, and I'll butcher it, but I was at a homeless shelter, volunteering, and there's this quote over where people serve food. I forget where it comes from, but something to the effect of, just assume that every person you encounter is dealing with the worst struggle of their life. And when you take that approach with any human, you're right. I mean, really, like, I don't think I'm in the lowest of my lows right now, but if you really pressed me, I've got some oppressive stuff I'm dealing with, in one form or another. It could be debt, could be a family member, could be my aging parents, could be, a cousin, a family. It could be someone else's problems weighing on me. It could be my own struggles. And I guarantee you, any human on earth could have uttered that sentence that I just uttered.
What's crazy about that is I was probably 21, 22. I was having dinner with the head of the Banana organized crime family and his wife. And I rode a motorcycle to that dinner just so we got that connection.
Like it.
And we're sitting down and he said, Joe, he said, if you put your problems on the table and I put my problems on the table, I guarantee you take yours back. And that's what you're saying, really, right? Like yeah. we think we're dealing with but everybody around us has big shit going on. Yeah. We didn't recognize it because he has a big house. He's got these columns. He's the boss. People are dropping off money every day. He's got no issues. He has issues.
Don't wish your problems away, because push comes to shove, you're not likely going to trade them for the next person's.
That's right.
Like, you think you got problems and then you meet someone with some other problems and you're like, whoa. I mean, really, there is some nasty, difficult, terrorizing stuff people deal with. And
I was in an Ironman. I was in an Ironman in your state. It was the last Ironman I've done. I had no reason to be out there. I had nothing to prove. Some people were supposed to meet me out there and do it with me. They didn't show up, so I was alone. There's really no reason for me to do this thing. I've already proven to myself I could do it. I go out there, didn't really train enough for it. I'm in the run, and I start to get nauseous. And nauseous is hard. I could deal with a lot of things, but nauseous is hard. Oh. And I'm 6 miles into the run. I got 20 miles to go. And I pull over to the ambulance, and I said, do you have anything for nausea? And they give me some Epitat, which I guess you give to pregnant women to get them to vomit. And so now I'm not only nauseous, but I'm vomiting. And I'm thinking, I'm done. I'm thinking of what your mom said, quit or don't, right? Mm-hmm. And this woman comes hobbling by with one leg. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, man.
And so her and I were battling it out for the remaining 20 miles.
There you go, man.
That was it.
Don't wish your own problems away because you don't want someone else's. Are you tired? You have been in the grind for as long as I have. I think we've both been going about 25 years, haven't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you tired?
I am tired, but you're going to like this. Ready for this?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I'm out in Denver and I go to Leprino Foods. Leprino Foods, it turns out, is the largest manufacturer of mozzarella cheese in the world. So I meet the Leprinos, and I come from Queens. I come from,
mozzarella central.
Mozzarella, like capital of the world.
Motherland.
And I'm thinking to myself as I'm sitting there and I'm meeting the Leprinos, I'm like, how could it be that in the middle of Denver, there's not many Italians in Denver. This is not like an Italian, like Brooklyn and Queens, families for generations making mozzarella cheese. They came from Italy. How could it be that the guy in Denver is the largest? He's making 2 billion pounds of mozzarella. How could it be? They were smarter. They had more money in Brooklyn and Queens. It doesn't make sense. And I talked to them and they said, well, Mr. Leprino was making his cheese and he randomly met this guy. And this guy said to him, hey, I'm thinking of starting this thing called Pizza Hut. And I need a cheese supplier.
No way.
Yeah. And he's got Pizza Hut and he's got Domino's and and the reason I bring it up to answer your question on whether I'm tired is I walked around that factory and it was awesome. I mean, the business they built over 70 years, 2 billion pounds of cheese. They keep $1 billion in cash on hand at all times, just in case, right? Like, it's unbelievable. Private company. But I thought to myself as I was there, could I be working here? Could I be running one of these factories? Could I be making cheese?
Yeah.
I might shoot myself, literally. Like,
But you'd be a billionaire, Joe.
but I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And so yes, I'm tired, but I'm not making cheese,
Wow.
you know?
Wow. You know, don't wish your path away. I did not mean to become a couch guy, let alone a giant beanbag guy. I mean, it was I was kind of actually reticent toward the whole thing. I was sort of like doing it for fun in college. It was kind of silly. And what Lovesack has evolved into with our stated purpose now, you know, to inspire people to buy better stuff so they can buy less stuff. I couldn't have seen that. I only saw that a few years ago. I couldn't have seen that for 2 decades of my life. I didn't have the opportunity to be driven by purpose. I was just driven to survive, trying to make this thing finally pay off my debts, pay me some money, you know, make a living. And then we evolve into this purpose around sustainability because we make these couches. Like that's the thing I didn't mention. This couch I'm sitting on is 16 years old.
That's
Made
awesome.
with brand new pieces, made with its 10 set of covers. I'm really proud of that. And so that all evolved over time, right? I didn't start with some grand vision. And I'm tired as well at times. But at the same time, I don't know how you feel, but I also feel simultaneously, believe it or not, like I could do 25 more. And I may not do every race. My role may change a little bit, you know, because it needs to, or because, you know, eventually my knees will wear out, metaphorically speaking. But I could go 25 more because you and I both have this shot. Like your business reach wise is just gargantuan. You know, revenue wise, you're still coming up and it's already massive by most respects. But you know as well as I do, it could be even bigger and we'll go even bigger. What's my point? You and I both see, I think, an opportunity to build something that is here for 100 years, build something that is meaningful, build something that is useful on the earth beyond just making cheese. And nothing against cheese. I love cheese. But I agree. And by the way, that guy might just be in love with cheese making and the jobs he creates and everything else.
That's fair. That's fair. He has a memory of his father making it on a farm in Italy, right?
Yeah.
He is pinching himself every day saying, I get to make cheese.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I agree with you. By the
There's a
way, you
niche for
just
every
gave me
pot, right? I
yeah,
mean,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
But you found yours. And what a blessing. And now that you've somehow survived just like I did to this point, and you went through the same darkness, difficulty, I know because I know, and because I know implicitly, man, like anyone who puts on that smile, like, oh, I'm a billionaire or a bazillionaire or whatever I am. I mean, there are the few stories where someone does just get lucky. And the problem is those get hyped up and then everyone wants to get lucky. But 99% of the time, and I mean that, people have been through it to get there. And now you've got a shot, Joe. And so what's your plan with it all?
Well, I've always said, first of all, as you were talking, before I answer the question, I was thinking we need to bring a love sack to ancient Sparta. I put a race on in ancient Sparta every year. And I was thinking, because you said 100 years, 2,503 years ago, I would imagine right before the 300 left to go battle the Persians in Thermopylae, they probably would have liked to sit on a couch, see their family, right? So we should put a couch in the ruins. Just take a couple of pictures. Like this was Leonidas's couch, him and
Yeah.
his men, right? Him and his men before they left. Maybe they watched a movie. I don't know.
Believe it or not, they sat down. Yeah,
They sat
yeah, right.
down
They're not just warriors. They're
but
dudes. They're people.
but what's my plan? It's a 2,500-year-old brand. It really has meaning for me beyond the business because I go to ancient Sparta. I talk to the folks at the universities, Cambridge, the folks that have studied the history of Sparta. It means something, right? To be Spartan and simple and live an austere lifestyle. I've been saying from the beginning, my exit strategy is death. But I don't know. I mean, you went public. I'd like to go public, I think. I think that's my plan.
Cool.
I think one of my kids would love to run the business.
Cool.
Yeah.
Public company is, in my opinion, the highest and best form of business. I think most companies should be truly run public and not distorted like Facebook with super voting shares and all that, but like truly, because then just like your races, man, you have to perform. Like I have to perform.
Yeah.
I can't suck. And I love that. I'm not afraid of that. Like that's the way it works.
Yeah.
And I think more businesses should be like that, because then you're not just at some weirdo's volition for whatever, Joe starts, having crazy ideas, like Joe's gone.
Yeah.
But well, you've already had crazy ideas, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you have to
Yeah.
perform. And I kind of love that impetus actually.
Yeah. Yeah. If I go to the gym in the morning, I go to work out. This morning, actually, my workout partner didn't show up, and I worked out shamefully 25% less intensely than I would have if he was there next to me. So that impetus, that somebody's watching, you're accountable, just makes you perform better. There, in the Philippines, I didn't know this. In the Philippines, they give marriage licenses for 10 years only. So at year 9, everybody starts taking out the garbage. They start like cleaning the dishes.
That's brilliant. Is
Isn't
that
that
true?
great? Yeah, it's true. There's probably some love sack angle there with like
Love that.
10 years. They got to buy a couch or something. I don't know.
Man, don't tell Tiff. She'll be like moving us to the Philippines. What when did you quit? What have you quit? When have you had to quit? When was quitting the right solution? Because it is an option. Quit or keep going. It is a choice.
I was in a race. I don't even remember what state it's in. Maybe Virginia. I was in Virginia. And my knee was bothering me. And it got a little worse and it got a little worse. And it crept into my brain that I was doing damage to my knee, which is exactly what my brain needed to do, right? Because my brain wants to quit. Your brain, all of our brains want to quit. So it was trying to find the thing that I was going to pay attention to. You're going to do permanent damage to your knee.
Wow.
Got to quit. And I finally pulled the plug, and I was pissed but happy because now I could have a meal. Now I could have a hot shower. Now I can get a hotel room. And actually, I got 2 stories of quitting. And I went into the hotel room, and I got the shower, and I got the meal, and I went to sleep, and I woke up a few hours later. I couldn't sleep, and the race was still going on. The race was going on for another 3 days. And I sat there because I had to wait till the race was over before I could leave. And I just thought, this is going to go on with or without me. I probably should have stayed in the game. When I got my knee checked out, it turns out it was just a tight IT band. It was not anything that was causing an issue.
Wow.
My brain punked me, and I was not happy. I'll give you another one.
Yeah.
I had this idea to do this race called the 508. It was 508 miles through Death Valley. It's a bike race.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in great shape. I was working on a trading desk at the time. So I said, you know what I'll do? I'll bicycle from Vermont to California, and that'll get me in shape for the race. So I bicycled, me and a couple of buddies, we bicycled. By the way, on that trip, my buddy died in Utah. He was going down one of those big hills in Moab, and his wheel got stuck in a cattle guard.
What?
And twisted, flipped over, broke his neck, died. And not to seem crass, but that's another whole story we could talk about another time. But anyway, I made it to LA, and I got to the start line of this 508 race, and there was a guy signing books. And I'm not big in the cycling scene. That's not my, especially road cycling. It's not my scene.
Yeah.
But this guy apparently has a world record. 24 hours, furthest distance ever traveled on a bicycle, drafted behind a tractor trailer, which was designed to drive in front of him the whole time.
Oh, I see.
And I thought, well, I just bicycled 30-something 100 miles across the United States. I could probably beat this guy. was out of my class,
Did
right?
you sign
I'm
his
not a
book for him?
didn't sign his book. I was it was the impetus, to use your word, right? I got excited. This guy was going to drive me. So anyway, I start biking. I said to myself, I'm just going to stay behind him. Wherever he goes, I go. Whatever pace he goes, I go. And so I'm behind him. I'm behind him. I'm behind him. I'm dying, but I'm not leaving. Every time we hit a hill, he's got a sag wagon that's swapping out a different bike for him that's able to handle that terrain differently. I got one bike. I'm pissing on it. I'm drinking. I am staying on his wheel. My vehicle, every person has to have a vehicle. My vehicle is following me, but we don't have extra bicycles.
Hmm.
So we're now at a mile 275. We just climbed this massive, massive climb. It's about 6 p.m. We're about to go into about an 18-mile downhill into Death Valley. And I get pulled over by the race organizers. They pull me over in my vehicle, and I see the guy that I've been following for 275 miles take off. And they said, your vehicle's blinking lights weren't on, and it's 6:03, and the blinking lights, according to the rules, had to be on at 6.
No way.
And I'm sitting there in the back of the truck. I'm laying down while they're having this discussion, and I'm thinking, please pull me. Please pull me, because if you pull me, I didn't quit.
Yeah, totally.
But I'm dying. I'm dying hanging on to this frigging guy. Anyway, they pulled us. They pulled us because of the blinking lights. For a moment, I was happy. I've been unhappy ever since, right? For a
Right.
moment, I was happy, only to find out that at the bottom of that 18-mile drop, that guy quit. I broke him. So all I had to do was hang in there.
Oh man.
Anyway, is what it
Yeah,
is.
well, and when you're in that state, here's the thing. It's easy to look back or for someone to listen to this and think, oh, well, overcome that. When you're in that state, especially in one of these I've never done an ultra race, but I've watched people, and I've been in situations where I think I've been pushed to my brink, like on the Baja 1000. I felt that on my motorcycle at 45 years old, where like my whole body was cramping, so I couldn't continue. I did finish my leg, but I had to do it with my leg hanging off the bike, riding in third gear because I couldn't shift, that kind of thing. I mean, I was at my physical limit, even though mentally I feel like I could have pushed. But still, when you're really at your limit, your brain is hard. It's hard to argue with yourself. It's hard to argue with your brain using the same brain.
It's hard to argue with your brain. I remember in a race, I wanted to quit. I laid down in the snow. Many, many times I wanted to quit. I was laying in the snow. And then I realized that I would just die here. I have to keep going. There's nowhere to go.
I love that.
And you get back up and you
Yeah.
start going. And I did 8 more days. And so my saying became, when you don't want to go anymore, you have 8 days left.
Mm-hmm.
That's
why one of my Seanisms is this in business is in the book, embrace uncertainty. And within that, I talk about embracing economic pressure. For me, and I'm not advocating this per se, but I'll tell you, I had spent the money of my client who ordered 12,000 sacks. I had no choice. Like when you take on debt, when you take other people's money in one form or another, you have to perform. And that's one thing I don't like about the culture that's been built up where all, these founders are cashed out and made, 100 millionaires overnight, even on the dawn of their businesses, never made one dime, because how much pressure do they really feel? And now you have businesses that are worth 50 billion and then they're worth nothing because they never made any money. They weren't even a real business, right? And what's my point? My point is there is something very useful to allowing yourself to land in a scenario where you don't have a choice.
burn
and
the
you laying in the
boats.
snow, you would have died. And then you went 8 more days. And I'm telling you, I went 24 more years, like under the same kinds of pressures in a different realm. And you did too. And here we are hanging out
Here we are. It's
in the grind.
yeah. It's I think if there was a CEO running Lovesack, as opposed to you, not a founder, and there was a CEO running Spartan, as opposed to me, not a founder, they both would have quit because they
Yeah.
wouldn't have been emotionally attached. They wouldn't, that saying when your mom said quit or don't, wouldn't have meant anything.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
They're
Go
getting
get
paid
another,
either way.
yeah, go get
They were
another
getting
job.
paid guaranteed out of the gate.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of value to the mentality of a founder, to the economic pressure, to all of these strange forces, to a freezing environment, these strange forces that give you no choice but to keep going to some extent. I mean, there's still a choice. You could lay there and die.
I wrote a blog about it today. Actually, you're just triggering a thought. I wrote about this idea last year at last year's winter death race. This kid Thomas showed up a week early by accident. He had the dates wrong. He showed up on the farm, and I put him in a boat. I said, "You're going to go in the boat." And it was 30 below last year. It was really cold during the winter death race and the week preceding. And so I said, "You're going to go in this little boat. You got to live in there for a week.
Oh my gosh.
And if you make it, then you could start the race because you're an idiot and you came here a week early." And so I was thinking about it, and the video went viral. Every day we filmed on like him on the boat, and Solo Stove sent a stove to the farm and we gave it to him to heat up. He caught the boat on fire. Like it was this whole, he could have used the couch. And anyway, the point is he quit.
Oh.
And I referenced Shackleton being stuck in the ice, the ancient English explorer being stuck in the ice with his men for 2 years, where they had to eat dogs and they had to eat seals. He didn't quit because he couldn't. There was no alternative.
Yeah.
And even till today, no one has been able to do what Shackleton did when he left that boat to go find help to get the rest. No one, not with North Face gear, not with radios, not with satellites. No one's been able to do it because they all have an out.
Yeah. Ditch the safety net.
Yeah.
Something I talk about, again. And entrepreneurs face these moments where they realize, well, if I do this, my safety net is gone. Whatever it is, that some choice they make, leave the job, leave the day job, quit it, go all in, invest their money. And I say, ditch it. Because I agree with you. I guarantee I would have quit. So where do you get the strength, right? The question everyone's going to ask, where do you get the strength to keep going? I think half that answer is practice it. And half that answer is put yourself in a position where you almost have no choice.
The Romans burned the boats, right? They said, "Oh, are we really going to fight here?" And
I love it.
And he went over and he lit the boats on fire and says, "Now we have no choice."
I love it.
Right?
Oh, man, I could go all day with you, Joe. So last piece of advice, anything you might say to someone to help them save 25 years, to help them maybe do things a little quicker, more efficiently than you ever did.
Well, there's just no way around it. These kinds of businesses require 25 years to be an overnight success. That's just the deal. For your kids to be great, it's 20 years of incredibly hard parenting. For your marriage to be, it's just the deal.
Yeah.
So get into it eyes wide open. Make sure you have your purpose nailed. Chisel it in stone. Chisel that purpose, that why in stone. And that'll be a place for you to lean on when the going gets tough. Right? For Sean, on those moments, it sounds like you owed people money. You had you had reputational, you had to take care of things you committed to. For me, I guess I felt the same way in that I owed people these life changes, which we did, right? I owed that. I promised that. I had sold 500,000 tickets to people that I couldn't deliver.
So then you had to give away 500,000 more.
And I give away 500,000 more. So So
Oh,
yeah, I wish I could tell those young entrepreneurs out there listening that there was an easy way, but there is no easy way.
buckle up, suck it up.
Suck it up.
And this is the coolest part because we stumbled our way to a purpose that really means something at Lovesac that I'm really, really proud of. But forget proud, I'm motivated now. And I'm okay spending the balance of my earth life trying to make better stuff so people can buy better stuff so people can buy less. And that came from the impetus of a beanbag. So whether you're born with a purpose that you can put your finger on or you find your way to one, it all leads back to purpose. And you won't have the fortitude of Shackleton if you don't have something driving you other than just making a bunch of money or any of these hollow things, because they are hollow. And it'll happen, and people make a ton of money. And Joe, you and I have been around billionaires and 100 millionaires galore, but neither you or I would prefer to make cheese.
That's right. That's right. Sorry, old man Loprino.
You can follow Joe, as I do, Real Joe De Sena, Desena, on Instagram, TikTok, Real Joe De Sena, LinkedIn, Joe De Sena, and especially YouTube, where you can subscribe to his podcast, the Hard Way Podcast, which is just as intense as he is. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast or video. Please give it a star rating if you don't mind. There's no advertisers. I just do this to put this out there for all of you and me. Every bit makes a big difference. Share it out on social media. Help others shave a chunk off their 25-year journey because you're just that good of a friend. Thank you so much to the boss Spartan, the harbinger of hard things, the pioneer of pain, and a leader, founder, entrepreneur, businessman, and friend who I genuinely admire, Mr. Joe De Sena.
Thanks for having me, Sean. That was amazing.
And to everyone listening, don't forget, when it comes to the hardest decisions in your life, it's actually pretty simple. You either quit or keep going. My default advice, just keep going.